I always say that your your true level of gratitude is tested during the hard times.
Hmm.
That's what gratitude is. I always say that. Like the day you know everything,
Right?
you better start
Yeah.
counting.
Exactly. Time to go.
Our advantage is the ability to like take risks. Like you cannot put all your eggs in a human's basket. It's crazy. Like people are people. You know, when I first wake up, the first thing that I put my mind to is what owns my day. I think that when it comes to discovery, you know, it's an energy. You have to be a magnet. I feel like you have to be delusional about your belief in yourself. Like you have to believe in yourself so much that when you speak about your vision to people, like they feel silly for doubting you.
They say luxury is a lifestyle. I say it's a mindset, and this one comes with room service. Here at the Mayborn, where European charm meets California flair, I don't just check in, I reset. Because real power isn't loud, it's knowing when to ghost the noise and draft something far more lasting behind the scenes. The Mayborn, Beverly Hills.
Welcome to The Basic Show with Viktorija Pashuta.
Welcome to The Basic Show. Today's season is Secret Garden, and I have very special guests that I've been waiting forever to interview. Ugo Mozie is our very special guest. Hi, Ugo.
Hello, Victoria.
Welcome to The Basic Show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. We were just talking earlier how things been working off with the Mercury retrograde.
Oh,
Things keep
this
mixing up.
retrograde has not been a joke. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Well, I'm always thinking positively. You are here. We're finally speaking with you, and I'm very, very excited to get to know you a little bit more.
Likewise.
Yes,
Thank you
yeah.
for having me.
Of course, of course. You know, the first thing I did when I was researching your story, I went to Instagram and I realized you have like 6,000 posts. And it took me, I kid you not, maybe 10 minutes to scroll and scroll and scroll. I wanted to see the first picture.
Wow.
The first post
No, you
you
didn't.
posted.
No, you didn't.
Do you remember what was your first post, first picture?
My first picture, I think I do remember. It's a picture of me in my house. It was I think a month or two after moving to LA. And it was just like a picture of me in my bedroom, I think.
You're
Was
very
it?
close. No, that was your second to last.
Okay.
The first one was a portrait of Kelly's.
Wow.
And you said, I love her.
Wow.
It was a beautiful portrait and I love her. I'm like, oh my God, I really scrolled to the very bottom to see what was your
Wow.
very, very first post. And you're right, the first images were of you, I guess, the first time, in LA. So tell me about that. You've had such an, incredible career from Nigeria to Los Angeles to Texas to New York. Tell us what place, really made an impact on your life, career-wise and personally.
I would say of all the places that I've lived, different countries and states all around America, the place that had the biggest impact in my life, whoa, that's such a hard question. The biggest impact, I would say maybe Texas, living in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the adolescent part of my childhood, like middle school and high school. And it was when I, started making like my real friends and discovering who I was and what I really wanted to do. And going through that phase in Houston and Texas, in a place where I felt kind of like stifled, where I felt like I couldn't be as creative as possible, I think that ignited something in me. Like it gave me a stronger drive. It's like when you put when you're in a box, but you can see outside of the box, and you just like it gives you the that urge to come out. And I think that being in Texas and for my adolescent years really played a large role. Going through just like my trials and starting designing for the first time, for my friends, and just using my friends as my muses.
That's the best way. Yeah.
It's the best way, and it's still what I do. It's still what I do. I still, if you're my friend and we're going out together and you're around, most likely you might end up leaving in a different outfit than you came to my house with.
Lucky friends, lucky friends. What does it take to be in the circle of Ugo?
It takes a lot.
Give us 1, 2, 3 cheat codes.
To be in the circle of friends, I mean, it takes individuality.
Mm-hmm.
It takes confidence. It takes self-assurance, and it takes knowledge. And I appreciate people that have, I don't care about fashion knowledge or just entertainment knowledge, but just know something. Like know something, be studied in gemology or archaeology, or be a doctor, but know something and be good at your craft and be able to teach me. I think I'm very attracted to people that can teach me. So whether you're an intern or an assistant or an executive, you better have like something to add to the conversation. That's what I think it takes.
I love that, because I feel like we always have to be in that learning stage. As if you feel like you know everything, means like your life is over, right? There's nothing else left for you to discover, right?
I always say that. Like the day you know everything,
right?
You better start counting.
Exactly, time to go.
Because you're done.
Right?
I just don't think, I mean, the world is just so vast. There's so much beauty in culture and traveling and in tribes that you can never know too much. And, I actually feel bad for people that, when you encounter people that just like feel blocked, like you just, like you can't tell them nothing. Like they just have like, they just feel like they know everything. Like for me, that mentality it's the worst.
They pretend they know everything.
It's the worst.
There's no possibly you can know everything. It's discovering yourself probably the hardest.
I mean, exactly. It's like, how can you even fully know your own self when, each chapter, each era, I feel like we should reinvent, we should change is evident. Right now, with the AI coming into the world, if you're not changing and reinventing yourself with the new technology, then you're already being left behind.
So speaking of AI, that actually was my question number 10. But since you mentioned it, how do you feel? Is AI a threat to creatives? And do you actually use it for yourself in any of your creative projects at all? Or how do you feel about that?
I don't think AI is a threat to creatives. To answer the first question, I believe that AI is an amazing assistant, guide, like help for creatives. I believe that, it's a great tool to use to get to your vision faster. No matter what it is, whether you're in the research phase or the creation phase, you can get there so much faster. I use AI every single day, I would say.
For what?
Like that ChatGPT and I are besties.
I know, especially for emails.
Or for emails, for conversations, replying hard messages.
Right.
Like I'll literally take a screenshot of the text message.
Reply you hate them, but be nice.
Reply to this. This is an old friend of mine.
Yeah.
We're not in the best terms right now, but I want to reply heartfelt but stern. Reply to this message,
But isn't it crazy? Because now it feels like we don't even know how to express ourselves anymore, right? Relying on the machine.
No, because it's still expressing your feelings. It's not going to make up a idea for you. It's just
Yeah.
articulating it better.
Right.
You know, imagine it like, it's like a therapist, it's like or a best friend.
A lot of people use ChatGPT as their therapist.
And I can
You know,
understand.
replying to ex-boyfriends.
I can understand
Yeah.
because it's a system that, like the knowledge that it holds is so vast and diverse. When talking to a therapist, right? It's a human being. A therapist can only respond based on their perspective, what they've been through, what they know, and that's limited, through their background, their experiences. But when you ask ChatGPT, it's telling you the answer based off of like the world.
Well, so then AI is not a threat for creators, but AI is a threat for therapists, lawyers, right? Pretty much kind of these professions might
You could consider it a threat again, or you can consider it an asset. It's your choice. It's your choice, right? Like as a lawyer, if I was a lawyer, I would have for sure been using AI. But at the end of the day, like what makes a creative what they are is the ability to tap in, like as a creative, we're tapping into a source. I call it God, some call it the universe, you can call it energy, but you're tapping into a source that's feeding you this information, these ideas, this vision, right? And that to me is the magic of artistry, is that message that you're translating, that you're receiving, right? I don't believe that AI necessarily has the ability to receive those same messages, right? So like AI can only give you advice or visions based on what already exists. What's already out there, what already exists. And a lot of times when you're tapping in to ideas or things, it may not exist. It may be unrealistic. It may be far-fetched. But how many times have you had an idea or a goal that you thought was unrealistic, but you achieved it?
every single day.
Exactly. So I think that that's something that humans will always have as an advantage. I mean, who knows where it goes, but at least for today, that's our advantage. Our advantage is the ability to like take risks, right? And to do things that are not expected or are not logical or don't make sense. Because sometimes that's what really creates like the magic. You're like, yo, I would have never expected those two things to come together and make that beauty. But that's like what the ability that we have, and we have to understand and own, right? As soon as you stop believing in your ability to create magic, now that's when AI comes and takes over.
I love that. The way you put it, especially with the smile on your face, you're very positive, because I do know a lot of people feel threatened by it, but they don't understand what you just explained, right? You cannot never replace the humanity, right? Our soul, our feelings, tapping into the source. And speaking of the source, how do you personally connect to that source? What does it take for you to really get that inspiration? Where is it coming from?
The inspiration, my inspiration comes from all sorts of places. But when it comes to tapping into the source and connecting with higher power, like this is like, it's part of my daily routine, before my day even starts. I have this conscious ideology that, when I first wake up, the first thing that I put my mind to is what owns my day. That's what is dictating the course of my day. So when I wake up, it took me a while and I still slip sometimes. But when I wake up, I try to be conscious about not touching my phone at all. First thing I do is I say my gratitude meditations. I speak about being grateful for waking up today. Like how amazing is it? I get to see another day. And I just speak to God, and just it's a gratitude release. And I just take time just articulating what I'm grateful for, while my parents are still alive and happy, my siblings are healthy, I'm healthy. And then after, and it's usually between 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 1 minute, but I put that effort of gratitude first. And then I touch my phone and I roll over and I step into the world. And I think that alone, like that first step allows me to remember what dictates my day. So throughout my day, I'm just tapping into like that gratitude.
It's such an incredible thing you said, because I was just thinking about gratitude today in the morning, and I thought every day we wake up and the more we succeed, we always will want more success, more fame, bigger projects, bigger collaborations, bigger things what we want for our life. But what we forget, what's the most important, to be grateful for today. You already achieved, you already came to this place right now. You wake up, you're healthy, you have all these things. And if you look back at yourself 5-10 years ago, you probably couldn't even imagine yourself having what you have right now.
So true.
And the way I thought about gratitude, I mean, honestly, I woke up and I had tears in my eyes just thinking about, okay, I'm actually grateful for my health, for my family, for my friends. And we don't do that enough.
Yes.
And the way I mentioned it was my exact thought today in the morning when I woke up.
See, like, now imagine making that a daily habit.
It's incredible. No, see, I just had this random thought.
That's
I don't
so
know if
beautiful.
it's synchronicity, but a lot of people forget to thank universe, God, for what you have right now, because tomorrow may never come, right?
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's such a special thing. And, I'm just so grateful to be here. I was born in Nigeria, in Enugu, in a very small city, like rural to the urban areas. And for me to be able to come from there, to be where I am today, where I was 10 years ago, like I feel like every day is a miracle. I feel like every day is I'm a lottery winner, and that's why it's just so important for me to tap into that gratitude, because it reminds me of what's really important, especially when you're in this industry, like in entertainment, that's in fashion, especially, that's ruled by material and ruled by someone else's opinion on beauty and their own standards. Like, it's very important to have a sense of grounding, and have different routines and things that keep me centered on what's really important, because it's so easy to forget and be like, damn, everyone else has, people are doing this. Look what's happening here. They're going here. But it's like, does it really matter at the end of the day?
I love you're so positive. And I wonder, some people may ask, it's easy to say or be grateful, when you reach certain point of success. But I remember in one of the interviews, you said that before this, iconic Met Gala that you were part of, you said you had 0 clients before that. So did you feel the same gratitude at those hard times that you had?
I always say that your true level of gratitude is tested during the hard times. That's what gratitude is. Like, it's not about, being grateful because you got that Range Rover or you finally got the Lamborghini or the G-Wagon or that whatever. Now I'm finally grateful. That's easy to be grateful then. But it's being grateful when you don't have, being grateful after you lost the job, being grateful after you lost a client, being grateful after things didn't go the way you expected it to go, because you trust your ability, because you trust God, because you trust that what you've put in this universe is going to come out to you. Like, that's when gratitude is really tested. It's when it's not as obvious.
And maybe it's all about the perspective, because if you think it's a failure, maybe you're clearing the space for bigger things, for better things for you. You think maybe this is the best thing that's supposed to happen to you, but at the end of the day, it's not, right?
Exactly.
Your best thing is still out there. You just have to be patient, be grateful, and to wait for that moment, but have the right alignment, right, in your mindset.
It's so true. I mean, it's like, to circle back to the Met Gala,
Yes.
like you mentioned, about 6 weeks before the Met Gala, I had just lost a client that I was betting so much on. I thought it was just gonna be like this big thing. In my mind, I already clocked the whole moment, how epic it was gonna be. So when that happened, I was just like, immediately I knew, I was like, yo, this this has to be a test because there's no
There's a bigger
way
plan.
there gotta be a bigger plan
Yeah.
because there's no way God would let me put all this effort and passion and love into something that just disappears, just vanishes. So when that happened, I was just like, you know what? God, this is not what I expected. This is not, this is definitely not what I thought was going to happen today. But I trust you. And I'm so grateful for this that happened. I'm so grateful this happened because I know that there's something on its way. Like there's something coming. And literally just sure enough, it didn't take up to 1 week
Wow.
for it to show itself. I'm like, okay, there it is.
Well, let's talk about that. I know the most iconic moment, of course, was Diana Ross. But my favorite moment was with Khaby, the vintage clock look for Boss, right? Can we talk about that storytelling? What was the idea behind it? That was personally my favorite look out of all you've done.
Thank you. But honestly, that was a look that was it was a collaboration with Boss, the incredible designer Marco. He's one of my favorite designers in the entire world. Honestly, he's such a understated designer. Like he's not trying to be in the forefront, but when he creates magic. And so yeah, him and I worked together for this Met Gala to put these together. But for Khaby, it was super fun because Khaby is a talent, an artist that's just like, as we see, he's down for anything. Like his storytelling abilities are incredible. Like he can tell a full movie in 5 seconds with no words. With no words.
Wow.
So for Marco, it's like how do we translate, this incredible artist and, capture what he is, who he is on this carpet. And just the idea of like he's the king of TikTok.
Oh, maybe that's why TikTok.
He's the king of
the clock.
TikTok, you know.
no, is
Yeah,
it?
and we were like, what is TikTok?
I love
The
that.
clocks. And
Oh my God, so
and
smart.
at first it was gonna be like one timepiece, a strong one. But Marco was like, you know what? Like, let's take it there. So like, let's just go all for it. And
More
we
is
decided
more.
to, more is more. It's the Met Gala. If you're gonna go all out and create a statement in a moment, like that's the night. So yeah, Khaby was the perfect muse to pull off this like timeless,
Timeless.
literally
I love that.
timeful,
Yes.
timeless piece. Yes.
It proves that fashion is storytelling, right? You're using technically objects, but those objects have meaning and they have story, and also it's connected to the character, to the talent you're working with, right? It's telling his story as well.
Absolutely. I think that's the beauty of what I do is, being able, it's a lot of it's psychology, it's therapy, it's like mind reading, but it takes someone who has the ability to read between the lines and also be able to understand and translate people's stories like through fashion. For me, it's like when I have a client, right? My job is to bring out like their higher selves. Like I always say, I want to make you look like your wildest dreams. Like what is when you were a little girl and you used to dream of yourself when you were an adult or a princess? Like what does that look? What is like your ultimate dream look like? And that's what I want to bring to life, but that's the storytelling. Like you have to understand the person, understand, what their insecurities are and like what they love and like what they're confident about. And to tell that through clothing and through fashion, that's what I love and keeps me in there.
So you are a magician, pretty much. Magician slash therapist.
You could call it that.
Yeah, because you do create magic. I mean, fashion, in a way, in my sense, is an illusion, right? We create this fantasy world that makes us feel better, gets us excited, motivates us. And especially, you've been doing Met Gala looks, for 10 years? I didn't even know, right? Am I right?
Yes.
For so many years, and I'm sure you've done so many incredible looks. Do you have any favorite look that you've, I know it's hard to say because, I mean, so many, amazing, mind-blowing looks, but is it something that stands out in your mind?
Honestly, I'm so blessed that the answer to this is always the same. When I'm asked who my favorite client or favorite look is, like, I feel like I know my favorite Met Gala look is the most present. Like, Diana Ross for the Met Gala to me is something that, like, as a child, as a kid, to think of that moment would have been mind blowing back then. It's just something that's a lifelong achievement that I think is just like something that I will always be proud of forever. And the look itself, I every time I see it, it's when it comes around. It was in the New York Times front cover. Every time I see it, it's always like reliving the moment over again. And yeah, it's so special. Like, even from like when I'm asked who my favorite clients are, it's always like my current client. My current projects always keep me so I live in the present, and I'm blessed to have incredible projects in the forefront. Like right now, I'm making outfits for Blue Ivy for the Cowboy Carter tour.
Wow.
And it's my first time working with an artist in that age. Like I think I've done like young guys around 13, 14, but a young girl in that age, such a delicate space, and just to be able to work in that and bring it to life is so special, and it's so fun, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah.
Well, I'm really happy for you. Congratulations on all of these, amazing projects. Do you think sometimes that you set your bar so high, and once you had this moment that everybody's talking about, do you think the next time has to like outdo your previous iconic moment? You're like, okay, what's next? How bigger and more dramatic and more creative you have to be next time to upkeep to your previous achievements?
No, I feel like the best is yet to come.
I love
I
that.
feel like I'm just getting started. Every moment I'm so grateful for, but like I said earlier, I always feel like the ultimate student. I feel like I'm still learning. I still have so much to do, so much to achieve. But at the same time, I'm grateful for what I've done so far. But there's so much more to do.
And because of your mentality, that's why you're not limiting yourself to one specific thing. So you're a stylist and you're also a designer. You have your own line, right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more? What does it even mean? Like, how did it come along and where does it stand right now?
Yes,
Let's
absolutely.
talk about, yeah.
So 1116.
Yes.
1116 is my fashion line. It's my brand,
Yes.
my baby. It's my life's work. It took about 15 years of my career as a costume designer, creative director, fashion, celebrity stylist to come and launch and put this out. And it's funny because we're still pre-launch. It's not officially out.
Wait, what? It's not even official out? I don't believe you.
It's not officially out.
Okay.
We had a soft launch about a year ago.
Okay.
And we're building the brand out, but this is all marketing. It's all strategic partnerships. But we're planning to officially launch at the top of next year. And, for me, it's again, back to the storytelling. It's about, I wanted to create something that allows me to tell the story of where I came from beautifully, artistically, to give people the opportunity to see Nigeria and Africa the way I see it. As an immigrant growing up in America, coming from Africa, I had to always constantly, fight the kids about, no, Africa is not this dirty place with flies and living in huts and just all these stereotypes and ideas that they see from National Geographics and whatnot growing up. And as a kid, it was just so frustrating and just saddening. But as I grew up and started working more into the marketing and storytelling world, I realized that this is what my purpose is, through whether it's fashion or filmmaking or just whatever artistic expression I choose to express with. I am passionate about telling the African story, the way I live it, the way I
Do you
see
think
it.
it's a lot of responsibility in your head to be almost, I don't know, the spokesperson, right, for your culture, for the place where you were born?
I
Do you
mean,
do you feel pressure?
the pressure comes sometimes,
Yeah.
but thankfully, I do feel like it's a movement, and there are a good amount of other artists, whether they're, from fashion to entertainment to sports, that have this same mission in their hearts to reimagine, to showcase the world our way, or our perspective of what Africa is. For over 100 years, the media's perspective has been told from non-Africans. Every motion picture and big budget production that had to do with Africa was told from a perspective of somebody who's not African or non-black. And I think with that, you get a lot of the genocide, a lot of the sympathy, a lot of the, the sadness, the orphans and this and that. But it's like there's a whole layer, of Africa that's almost untold, that, through social media today and the internet, the world is getting a chance to see glimpses of it. But for me, when I started 1116, it was really inspired by, being able to create a brand that can be a bridge for culture and fashion. We're gonna have our fashion studio and fashion house, our maison in Nigeria, but we're gonna be, as we already are, we're servicing and making clothes that are going to the world. A lot of the stuff that we're making for the Cowboy Carter tour, or even like, for Diana Ross or our other clients, are made right there in Nigeria, in Lagos.
That's
You know,
incredible. You kind of also, in a way, giving back, right? To back to your origins, right?
yeah, it's so important. Like, we're giving back, and we're also empowering the artist. There's the weavers and the seamstresses and the tailors, like the entire supply chain, down to people that are growing the cotton,
Wow.
that are making the thread out of the cottons. It's such a beautiful, incredible process that if this was, Hermes or Giorgio Armani or Zegna, these people would be millionaires. The seamstresses that are in the Dior atelier in Paris are very successful. They're very notable. Like, they've been there for decades and decades and decades because they're happy. And that's the kind of structure that I emulate to create on the ground, is where I can create a system where I'm really, just appreciating and working along with my entire team in that way.
Well, you're definitely an engine, a fashion engine and propeller who is
Thank
almost like
you.
communicating. I really love that about you. Didn't you also mention you plan to open the first atelier in Nigeria for your brand?
Yes, yes. So I plan on opening the atelier in
Yes.
Lagos, our fashion house. Everything will be kind of, the flagship will be there, and we'll spread across the world from our Lagos satellites.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I mean, we definitely need more voices like yourself to educate us, to teach, to expand our minds, because sometimes it is very narrow-minded. We just only think about things we see on social media, and, things are being hyped up artificially, right?
Right.
But true authenticity comes from being authentic, and you have your roots, right? You were born there, you have connection. I know you've done so many projects, from back home. And then you also, I would say, cosmopolitan, right? There's nothing that stops you, right? You travel throughout the world and you working on this amazing project. So speaking further on that, do you have any favorite or maybe dream collaboration, either with a person or a brand that's on your wish
Hmm.
list?
Dream collaborations.
the one I liked while you're thinking,
Yes,
and
tell
I
me.
want to ask you, I keep looking at your slippers. I don't want to like sound ignorant, but I saw one of your collaborations, which I liked. It was a Khaby protection chain on the
Yes.
Barbie dolls, right, for Coco and Breezy.
Yes.
And that was so unique and different. Like, wow, this is so cool. And you brought elements of your culture, something that has specific meaning to the modern culture and to that collaboration. I don't know if you want to expand on that, but to me, that was something I haven't ever seen before.
Sure.
And I keep looking at your slippers. I mean, are those shells or this Khaby?
Yeah, these are
or
my gold cowrie shells.
What are those?
These are actually made by my cousin, MJ Gemini. This is his brand. But yeah, I'm obsessed with cowrie shells.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with just anything that can give me a little touch of culture. Yeah, speaking of the cowrie shells, it was such a beautiful surprise.
Yeah.
My best friends, Coco and Breezy,
Yeah.
whose birthday was a couple days ago. Shout out to Coco and Breezy. They actually they're DJs and they're incredible. They're designers as well. They make the most amazing eyewear. And I dress them, I style them, ready for their big shows like Coachella and Met Gala. Like we'll collaborate on dope looks. So the cowrie chain is something that we have in 1116. It's part of our collection. It's actually the only thing available to buy right now. Is the only thing available to buy is that cowrie chain before the clothes drop. I got you. But yeah, they wear theirs like I would say maybe like 4 or 5 times a week. They're wearing it all the time. And so when Mattel decided to do their Barbie, they included our 1116 pieces in the actual Barbie look. So 1116 before even launching, we're already commemorized in a Barbie.
I love, and just random thought, you said your brand hasn't been launched yet, right? It reminded me of Coco Chanel number 5. So originally, she created the perfume only in one sample. She put it on, she was going outside, and people started like, oh my God, what is this smell? What is this scent? And after she got people interested in that scent, there was a huge line and wait list to get Chanel number 5. And only after she, I don't know if it's hyped it up, right? She tested it, then she launched it to a huge success.
Wow.
So I feel like you're doing something very similar than Coco Chanel, right?
I never knew that story.
Yeah.
But that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I have to do more research. I love that. I resonate. Give me the Coco Chanel energy.
Yeah, you totally have it. I mean, thinking about different designers, even right now, the most famous brand, which is Schiaparelli, I was thinking about that brand before it got big. And do you know the actual story?
No, tell me.
So the actual story of Schiaparelli was by the designer named Elsa Schiaparelli. She was really into surrealism, and she did a lot of collaborations with Salvador Dali and other artists.
Wow.
Her famous outfits didn't even have a good reception because it was like a lobster claw or like a lobster phone. And she was very avant-garde for the times.
Wow.
And her brand wasn't really like successful back in the day. So she created Shocking Pink moment that became a perfume in the shape of the torso. And then her brand kind of died out in 1954. And only 1954, in 2013, I forgot which, I don't know if it's Kering Group, I forgot which big brand group bought the brand, and then Daniel Roseberry brought it kind of back to life and gave it like new life.
Wow.
But not many people know where the brand is.
So for over 50 years.
Yes, the brand was dead. And now it's like number one. Everybody wants to wear Schiaparelli. But nobody talks about Elsa. The little lady, she actually was a rival for Coco Chanel. There were 2 rivals. They were little fights.
I've heard that story. Shout out to Elsa.
Yeah, they were like 2 little rival ladies. Yeah. And now it's this beautiful brand that has this, artistic vision to it.
Yeah,
so I love reading stories about that.
And it still feels so authentic. Even like not knowing, if you didn't know the entire story of Elsa, like you can tell that the brand is inspired by artists. So when you hear about Salvatore Dali, you can still see it. It makes so much sense.
No, absolutely. And that's why when you told me about your brand, I'm like, okay, sounds very familiar. You're on the right path, which also marketing, I mean, from the business perspective, it's a great technique before you invest, before you put all your heart in, you kind of, pre-tease your brand, right? Get the word going, work with certain people that align with the vision of your brand. And once you launch it, I mean, to me, it already felt like it's been out for years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot because that's like that's what I wanted to feel like. I wanted to feel nostalgic and just comfortable and just to blend right in,
Yeah.
but stand out at the same time.
Yeah, you're already doing it. And my next question is how many products or what type of products? Because my favorite ones were the bags. I don't know, duffel, what do they call the duffel bags?
Yeah.
I love those. They're so unique and creative. And just, I was like, okay, I really want to have one day one of those bags. So what are the products or, statement pieces that you plan to launch already, available
Yeah,
or will
so
be available?
we plan on launching in parts or in series, if you will. We're gonna have 1116 essentials and
Yes.
casual. It's gonna consist of your tracksuits, like your bomber jackets, and like normal trousers, more everyday. And then we're gonna go into suiting. We'll have like our tailored suits, our from double-breasted to just all types of suiting made out of our fabrics. So we're producing our own textile in Nigeria, also in Morocco and in Kenya and in South Africa. So we're exploring just different types of textile making
Wow.
and threads. So the idea is to, we're using our locally sourced and made fabrics, but we're making like modern silhouettes and making looks that, transcend and have more just commercial value.
My favorite one was the yellow black checkered suit
Okay.
with the vest and the tie. I'm like, wow, this is freaking so
Thank
amazing.
you.
That was my
Thank you.
favorite one. It definitely stands out. And I was thinking in the back of my head about the textiles, about the fabric. So it's very, very fascinating that you actually going from the grounds up, like from the textures, from the fabric, from, involving local, craftsmen to help you elevate your brand, but you're also giving back to the community.
Yes, we got to keep the art alive. We keep the art alive. I was inspired by the artisans. Well, I took a trip to this place called Kogi State
Okay.
outside of Lagos about
Yeah.
3 years ago. And there was this area that had like all these women and men and like young girls weaving fabrics, like in these like old vintage systems, like wooden machines with the threads in between. And they're sitting there weaving it all day, making like looms and looms of fabric. And I just fell in love. I was like, this is couture. This is art. Like, this is what people spend a lot of money for. And then for them, it was like almost like unappreciated by even by the town. Like, these women were not getting the love they deserved. So I was like, yo, I have to like do something. I want to use these fabrics. I want to empower them. I want to bring them more opportunities, more jobs, and make them know that what they create is valuable.
Right.
When they see those pieces on those stages, it's like, for them, it's unbelievable.
Well, it's not, maybe they're not appreciated because they don't have enough visibility that you
Right.
can help with, because obviously you're such a renowned spokesperson. People admire you, look up to you, right? So you are, the connector of the two worlds. And that's, I don't know your purpose. I don't want to speak that highly, but maybe that is your purpose, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
And so you saying that you want to learn and you're always learning something new. I think from the business perspective or from the financial perspective, if you look at the percentage, what do you think is more, the biggest financial gain for you in styling, in your own brand, collaborating with brands? If you have to like give us a ballpark, what's your bet, in terms of financial gain in all of the activations that you're part of?
So I'm blessed to have income and revenue from different streams. I don't have to depend on just my styling clients. I also am a brand ambassador, and I've done major campaigns myself, from brands from Audemars to Mont Blanc to Calvin Klein and Boss, and the list goes on. So like, I, as myself, I'm able to generate income by using my perspective and giving my opinion, and then as a designer, I'm able to also create revenue by selling designs and creating pieces, from custom couture to like my ready to wear pieces already made. But I do feel like my biggest business is going to be from my fashion brand and my designs, because there's nothing like making products. There's nothing like having a product that can be consumed in different homes that you're not in. When you're selling a service and you have to physically be there and be involved for every time or every job, it's a lot harder. You might make more money. You might make like a lot larger amounts of money, but it requires so much time. Like there's no income like passive income. So to me, like, I'm looking forward to building my brand in a place where it's just like running and sustaining itself, where I don't have to be in every room that it's selling in.
So the diversification is key, right?
Very much key.
So it's kind of, you have to be and explore different avenues to truly, be successful. Or
yes, especially in fashion, especially when it comes to like a service job. If you're a makeup artist or a, creative director or a choreographer or a hairstylist, or a costume designer, like with these fields, like it's so important for you to not get caught up or locked in to a client thinking that it's forever. Like you cannot put all your eggs in a human's basket. It's crazy. Like people are people. At any moment things can change, and God forbid that like, your bills or your kids or your family is depending on one job or one person. You have to be responsible, for your own like sustainability, because at the end of the day, like if one door closes, like what happens next? So I think it's important for anybody that's an artist. There comes a point in your artistry where you become Denzel Washington, or you become like a Kehinde Wiley as a painter, where you don't have to take on all these jobs. But I do think that it's important as for artists, on their journey, coming like to their space, to be open, to taking to doing other things, like other jobs that can benefit them in their field. It's important to also not take just any job. It's important that whatever field or whatever you're working on is able to, add value to the bigger goal.
Right, because especially in the fashion industry, it's not a secure industry to be in. Today you're on top, tomorrow everybody forgets about you, and tomorrow you may have nothing. So what you're saying is to have probably plan A, B, and C, to have always a backup. Don't put all eggs, like you said, in one
100%.
basket, right?
Yes.
So if you have to give one business advice for stylists who are really creative, who already maybe have some small client base, but they're not really there financially, what one business tip you can give them to kind of get to that next level?
For stylists that are, on the way up, but are not yet sustaining themselves financially with styling and fashion, I'll recommend that they get a stable job somewhere else in fashion, whether it's PR or marketing or assisting a creative director or a stylist. Like there's no better way to learn than to be working on ground, right? Like there's really no school or, education program that's going to teach you how to get clients or teach you how to like network. Like there's nothing like hands-on training when it comes to fashion. So I would say just put yourself out there to be in situations and places that will constantly allow you to be in rooms where you can network and grow. You're only as big as your client. You're only as big as who you're working with. Like no one, your talent, you can be the most talented person with all these ideas. You can memorize every single season of every single fashion show. But if you don't have any clients to dress and work with, you're just a storyteller, just telling stories, having a good time. But it's like, you have to put yourself out there. I think that one of the worst things you can do is convince yourself that you're waiting for the right time. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. There's never going to be a right time.
The right time is now.
The right time is now.
I like to say, if not now, then when? If not you, then who?
Exactly.
No, I love it. So you are very handsome and you walk the runway shows. You've been in campaigns. You are pretty much like a walking billboard, right? For your brand and for your services. So do you believe it's an ego, or it's a good way to be a spokesperson for your own ideas, for your own concepts, for your own brand? How do you use your IP?
I feel like you have to be delusional about your belief in yourself. Like, you have to believe in yourself so much that when you speak about your vision to people, like, they feel silly for doubting you. Like, that's the level of belief that you have in yourself. And I think that's what it takes to make it in any field, in any career, is that confidence. You know, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will.
That's so powerful, because in my experience, the most humble people, the most talented, but they so shy and they don't really want to get themselves out there and to use themselves as their own voice because they feel too shy or they feel too humble. And the loudest people usually get what they need to get. Might not be the most talented people, right? But they have ability to speak for themselves.
Yes.
So what you said is very, very relevant. And guys, make notes, right? Believe in yourself, gain that confidence, put yourself out there step by step, and at least by showcasing yourself, right? You might get the door open. Somebody else might notice you. You might think like, okay, nobody cares, right? Nobody watches your stories. Nobody follows you, but you never know where that person will see you, right?
It's so true. It's so true. I believe in that so much. And, you know, I think that when it comes to discovery, you know, it's an energy. You have to be a magnet. Like, these days, like, I think always you attract what you put out. You attract what you really, really want. If you're approaching situations with high anxiety and high doubt, that's repelling. You know, you're repelling the situation. Nobody is going to, you know, invest their time and their money and their passion into somebody who's not even sure. That's a big risk.
No, wow. It's words of wisdom, because things like that need to be heard and needs to be voiced. As many people, there's so many talented people, but that's one skill that they're lacking, or they may not be aware. What you just said, wow, it's incredible. So Ugo, having so many achievements, right, including now you've been on the advisory board for the Fashion Trust Arabia Prize 2025. You've won awards. You've been on the covers of the magazines. What's next for you? What's besides your brand, right? Is there any project that you had in the back of your mind, or any collaboration, anything that been sitting there and waiting for its release? Is it something that's out there that you're planning to execute in the near future? What's next?
I would say, I don't know when it's going to be executed. I'm not sure. I can't tell you a timeline, but I would say to definitely look out for Chief Ugo Mozie, the filmmaker.
Ooh.
Because that's gonna be the home run.
You know, interesting you mentioned that, because when you were talking about Nigeria, I was thinking you need to make a documentary. You need to put it on camera. You need to give the voice to those people, right? To the community.
It's coming.
Wow, we're aligning on that.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I'm wishing you nothing but the best, and knowing you from the outside perspective and feeling you right now, I feel nothing is impossible for you, and I know you're a go-getter. I know you're gonna achieve it all. And just one more remark I wanted to point out before we finish. I know your father is here with us, and
What's up, Pops?
And it's so.
I think he's sleeping.
So this conversation is so sweet. You got him here, and I know how important it is when your family supports you and you're there for you. And it's so sweet that he's here, and I appreciate you bringing your father here. And happy to have.
Thank you for having us. I don't take it for
Yeah.
granted any day. You know, it's part of our morning gratitude. You know, being grateful for our parents and everything that we have. So yeah, I appreciate it too.
Absolutely. Well, on this beautiful note, I'd like to wrap up our conversation. Thank you for being on the Basic Show.
Thank you, Victoria.
And all the
It
very
was
best.
so great to be here.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Thank you. Bye.